We're back in the kitchen for bread day.
I'm coming home.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Ormsby Farm. My name is Casey. So we're in the kitchen today. I wanted to do this video because we're having a family barbecue later tonight and I wanted to get it done and bring y'all along. So I'm doing a recipe that I got from, I don't know if you can see my shirt. There we go. Can you see it? There we go. VW Family Farm. So Andrea did this video on Amish bread. And disclaimer, I have done this recipe a couple times from her video. But we're going to be watching and doing. It's a very simple recipe. She says in the recipe that it's foolproof, and it really is, y'all. It's so easy, it's so versatile. We do it with all of our breads: hot dog buns, hamburger buns, regular bread. I've done it for a baguette style too. So let's go ahead and jump in. It's a very easy recipe. I'm going to leave it in the description box below. The recipe also will be on our website, and there will be a version of the recipe in our cookbook, Taste of Summer, coming out in June. So if y'all are enjoying these videos and you want to see more, make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell icon because you'll know anytime new content drops on our channel. And we have a lot of exciting stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks here on the homestead. We've talked about looking for land and buying land to move the farm to. In a couple weeks, we're going to be taking you along and looking some of the land. So you won't want to miss that. So make sure to like and subscribe. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Alrighty, y'all, so we're in my kitchen. I apologize for the lighting. It's probably all over the place. The lighting's terrible in my kitchen. But I'm going to be tilting you down anyways. But just a disclaimer that the recipe will be in the description box. And it's kind of a half recipe, and Andrea describes it on her video. She got it from an Amish woman. And the original recipe makes 7 loaves. Which is great if you're making for multiple people in your family or freezing it or whatever. This one, I'm just going to do the half one that Andrea does in her video. So I will leave those exact measurements in the description box. A version of this recipe, we've tweaked a little bit of it, will be in our Taste of Summer cookbook that comes out in June. So definitely look out for that. Plus, we will be selling breads at our local farmers markets. So let's go ahead and jump in. I've already preheated my oven to 350. I have just noticed that that helps my yeast rise a little bit more because it can be kind of cold in my house sometimes. So it just helps the yeast. So I've already preheated it to 350 degrees. Now let's go ahead and get the yeast started, and so we can let that sit and let it get bubbly. So I'll be doing everything in my KitchenAid bowl. That's one thing that Andrea said in her video, which, Andrea, I agree with you. I'm a get her done kind of person. I want one thing. I hand wash all of my dishes. So I want one dish that I have to do most of it in until we move it to what we're going to be cooking it in. So I'm going to tilt y'all down and we'll go ahead and get started. So first you want your dry active yeast. I buy yeast in bulk. I will be getting it from Azure Standard, which we have a video on that coming up. We actually used Andrea's link from VW Family Farm to do our first Azure Standard order. We're so excited to do it. So thank you, Andrea, for that. And so we're going to go ahead and get it started with a tablespoon of yeast. And in Andrea's video, this is where she said that it kind of gets a little tricky on the measurements. Oops, excuse me. Making all this noise over here. It is 1/4 of a cup and 1/8 of a cup of sugar. And that's because we're doing half of the recipe. Now, I'm just doing a 1/2 of a 1/4 of a cup for mine, so it's not exact measurements, but again, this bread recipe is very forgiving, and it's very foolproof, and works out every single time that I do it. And then you want to do a 1/4 of a cup and 1/8 of a cup of flour. Now, Andrea does recommend bread flour. Now, I usually do bread flour. I do not have any bread flour today, so I'm using all-purpose. So we are going to see together if this works. So, we're going to go ahead and get into that. And then you want 1/4 and 1/8 of a tablespoon or a teaspoon. Let me go check the measurements. No, I was right. 1/4 and 1/8 of a tablespoon of salt. Again, I'm not doing super, because I don't have 1/4 of a tablespoon one. So I'm guessing that's 1/4 right there. We'll do that as 1/8. And then you're going to want 2 cups of warm water. Not super hot because that's going to kill the yeast, but not cold because the warm water is what activates the yeast with the sugar. Alright, so I just have warm tap water. So that's 1 cup. That's 2 cups. And I'm going to make sure just to get all of the lumpy bumpy bits. I don't know if you can see in there. It doesn't need to be perfect because once it activates, it's going to get really bubbly and all of it's going to do its thing anyways. Again, this is truly a foolproof recipe for fabulous bread. Because when I first did it, I was not a bread maker at all. And it turned out literally wonderful. Just trying to break up all these big bumps in this jar then. So at this point, Andrea says there's really not a time frame that you want it. You just want it to get bubbly and activate. I have, through process of elimination, of doing it a couple times, I have learned that about 15 minutes of sitting is usually the best. And I like to actually put it right by the stove, just where the heat's coming off. And I'm going to set a timer for 15 minutes. And then when I bring you back, I'll show you what the bubbly part looks like. And then we can go ahead and add all the rest of the stuff. All right, so if y'all can see this, I'm going to try to put it up there. It's nice and foamy, which is what you want. And then you're going to add in 1/4 of a cup of olive oil and 4 cups of your flour. Now I'm using olive oil. It doesn't give it that olive oily taste, but it works out really good. And again, the recipe calls for bread flour. I do not have bread flour right now, so we're using all-purpose. So we are going to find out together if it works. Hope it does, because I love this bread. Alright, so now you're just going to connect it to your handy dandy KitchenAid. Don't turn it on. And remember, mine's an oldie one. Mine's a crank up old one. But it does the trick. Turn it on low. It's going to get kind of loud till it starts getting mixed up. And I'm going to try to take y'all, see if I can do this, so y'all can see it a little bit better. Make it bumpy. Hold on. Hold on, guys. Why is it not going down? Come on, go down. And what you're looking for is you want it to form a dough, and then it will start cleaning the sides of the bowl. And that's when you know it's done, is when it's smooth, it's one full ball, and it's clean to the sides. You'll see. Probably about this point you can turn it up a little bit. You see how it's cleaning the sides now? That is what you want. And I sometimes just let it go on low for about maybe 3 minutes, just so it kneads it nice and pretty. I'm telling you, y'all, KitchenAid has saved my life in wrist grease. Alright, so now at this point, you are pretty much done with the mixer. No, not pretty much, you are done with the mixer. And you just want to get it off, and you're going to keep it in this bowl. Keep it in this bowl. I don't know if y'all can really see. Keep it in the bowl, and you're going to cover it with a towel and let it sit for 30 minutes. Alrighty, so when the first 30 minutes is up, hasn't gotten that much larger, but it's doubled in size since the last time. So what you want to do is oil up your hands. I either use olive oil, or if I have coconut oil, I'll use coconut oil. But otherwise, this will stick all over your hands. And just punch it down. Make sure it's coming off around the sides. Beautiful, beautiful. And then really going to do the same thing. We're going to cover it back up, and then we're going to let it sit for another 30 minutes. So we'll see you back. I told you this is a very just kind of sit and wait kind of recipe. So be back in 30 minutes. Yeah, so this is the second time that we've let it rest for 30 minutes. It's doubled in size again. So you're just kind of going to repeat what you did before. And the reason that you want to push it down is because you don't want air pockets in your bread. I'm just going to push it down before, like you did it before. I like to pull it away from the sides. And then really same thing. Again, cover it 30 minutes, and then we'll transfer it into the regular little spots. Alrighty. We'll see you back in 30 minutes. Alright, y'all, so it's sat for another 30 minutes. As you see, it's back up to double in size. So now what I'm going to do is, just like I did before, oil my hands, and then we're going to put it on a cookie sheet. Since I'm not doing bread today, this is what you would do to put them in your bread pans. Grease your bread pans good. When you think you've put too much grease, put a little bit more. But these I'm going to roll into hot dog and hamburger buns. You want them thin, smaller, because they are going to rise some more. So to keep them in a good size, I'll show you. We're going to keep them pretty thin for the hot dog buns and pretty small for the hamburger buns. Hands are all nice and oiled. So what I'm going to do is just going to pluck a little bit off. A little too much for the... So like this amount for a hamburger bun, and I'm gonna just place them over here. And they're not all going to be perfect. So if you want perfect hamburger and hot dog buns, you may want to go to the store and buy them. So now, just like before, we're going to take a rag, cover them. Another 30 minutes. So we'll see you in 30 minutes. All right, so once they've rested for the last 30 minutes, then you're going to put them in the preheated oven at 350 degrees for 26 minutes. So as you see, I'm putting them in the oven. And then the next time that you will see how they turn out will be tonight at our barbecue. So we'll see you there. So, ooh, barbecue time. There's sis. This ain't been in a video in a minute, huh? Moms.
Hello.
Step in the light. You just see the shadow of Mom. Keep walking. Keep walking. Let it grow, growing.
I'm coming